We slowed down a bit this episode. There were still a few things that happened, but comparatively speaking, we just came off a dragon battle where the king was blown out of the sky, Rhaenys was killed and all that stuff. This episode was, again, another aftermath episode. We're seeing a lot of this. We're seeing an event or a big event, and then we're seeing the immediate effect of that. Cause and effect, and we're seeing the aftermath of what occurred with Aegon. Aemond, as we know, is Prince Regent, and he is overtaking the responsibility left by Aegon while Aegon is in his bed and recovering. There was a scene at the small council between Aemond and Alicent, which I think is one of the highlights of the episode. They're having a discussion, and Alicent makes a point. As she's done, she's had a place at the small council for a while. Aemond dismisses her. And later on in the scene, he completely dismisses her from the small council, from the table, because now there's no need for her. And we've seen the small steps that led up to this, right? We talked about this before. Aegon is not there. So Alicent's place at the council is now threatened because Aemond doesn't need her. She's not needed at the table anymore. She's not ruling in place of Viserys. She's not aiding Aegon. We got Aemond taking charge, and Aemond doesn't need her. And the conversation between the two at the end, I thought was nice. He didn't do it in a rude way, but it was dismissive. It was like a hand wave. I don't need you. I don't need you here. You can go back to your domestic duties. It was dismissive, but the way Alicent reacted, she actually reacted motherly, which I didn't expect, because we saw how she treated Aegon. She treated Aegon like trash, like nothing. And she reacted in a very calm manner towards Aemond, and actually in an empathetic way, So I thought that was a good scene between the two. And then we see Alicent sitting by Aegon's bedside. And I think that has to do with the guilt that she's facing. She was rejected by Aemond, and then now she's coming back to Aegon, the person who relied on her to a certain extent, and she's saying sorry. She's saying sorry. I don't know, it may be for selfish reasons, but I think it's really because she does feel guilty, because the conversation prior to Aegon getting on his dragon and flying out there to deal with the threat himself, the reason why he did that is because he felt useless. He felt like nothing. He felt like he wasn't doing anything worthy of being king, and so he needed to do something. He needed to act. And he felt that way because of that conversation with Alicent. Alicent essentially called him useless. Just sit there and do nothing because you can't do anything else. Word is announced that Aegon is conscious. He's making a recovery, a slow recovery, but he is making a recovery. So Aemond pays him a visit and puts the ball that we see at the small council in Aegon's hand. I think that's him recognizing that Aegon is still king. But he did so in a way where it pained him, because he's burnt all over. So I don't know if he's doing it out of spite or is he doing it out of respect. It's most likely not out of respect. It's probably out of spite. Nevertheless, he is still recognizing Aegon as the true king. What's going to happen in the future? We'll see. Let's go back to the small council for a little bit, because Aemond said something really interesting. He said, "My uncle is a challenge who's welcome if he dares face me." This is something I'm waiting. The uncle is obviously talking about Daemon, right? This is something I want to see this. I mean, I was hoping that somehow, I haven't read the books or anything, so I was hoping that somehow Daemon could take Aemond under her wing, because Aemond is literally Daemon 2.0, right? So I was hoping to see that occur. But if we get, now it looks like Daemon is going to be challenging for the throne, and Aemond is in power right now. Aegon is not able to do his job as king. So seeing a battle between Daemon and Aemond That would be awesome, man. I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that. Now, speaking of Daemon, let's move over to him. He's still having these visions. He's still in Harrenhal. He's having all these hallucinations, and the ones in this episode was more focused on Viserys, and it seems to be well, they were all reflective, and this one is reflective in the sense that he's understanding his flaws. He's understanding where he went wrong with his relationship with his brother. He wasn't there for him. We're seeing a scene of Viserys crying over his wife's death, right? And Daemon wasn't there for him, but he's there for him in the vision. So he's seeing the little steps that led to Viserys' choice of choosing Rhaenyra over him. The reasons why Viserys didn't choose Daemon to take his place. We're seeing those steps, and we're seeing Daemon reflect on those. So I'm very curious to see how Daemon is going to come out of this experience. If he's going to come out more mature, we could see some real character development with Daemon, and I'm really looking forward to that and how that will affect his interaction with the other characters. Now let's move over to Rhaenyra, because there's some interesting things happening here. In the last episode, Jason gave her the idea, because they don't have any they have a couple dragons, but they don't have any dragon riders. So Jason came up with the idea, or Jace came up with the idea to go out and to look for Targaryens who married into other families. So they have some Targaryen blood, but it's not like, pure Targaryen blood. So they went to this guy, to this knight. I believe his grandmother's grandmother was a Targaryen, and they were like, "Hey, you have this was their first choice, and they had he has some Targaryen blood, so let's try him out and let's see if he can tame this dragon, and this dragon will let him ride him." So they're singing this hymn, calling this dragon. The dragon comes. The dragon's called Sea Smoke, and I feel bad for this guy, man. They look at dragons. The people of Westeros look at dragons like gods, and so you have the opportunity to form a bond with a god and ride it. You're not going to turn that down, even if it means your death. This is an extremely high honor. So he took it. He took it, even though the chances were extremely slim. And they're singing this hymn. The dragon comes in. Sea Smoke comes in, and he's approaching Sea Smoke extremely cautiously. And he makes eye contact with the dragon. They're looking at each other. And he relaxes his muscles, because he feels the connection. He's like, I've done it. I've done it. He thinks he formed it. And the expression on the dragon's face seems to be contemplative to a degree. Like the dragon is, thinking through this. Like, this may be a possibility. It seems like they might be forming a connection here. And so he approaches. But then Sea Smoke rears up and blasts his fire and burns him, but not only him, but the like a priestly looking figure, another person over there. That guy slit his throat and everything. Like, it was a horrible mess. And Rhaenyra is like, "Dang it! What am I doing? This guy died, and I'm the cause of this. Through my desperation led to this man's death." I mean, this guy completely consented. He wanted to do this, but Rhaenyra is still feeling bad. So now what are they going to do? They don't have an answer to Vhagar, which is why they're going through this. They have dragons, but they don't have dragon riders. So what now? She feels helpless, like useless. She has a dragon. She can ride. She can go out and do things, but she can't. But they're not letting her. She's the queen, and nothing can come of her. Nothing can hurt her. Otherwise, the entire mission is gone. So she feels like she's just sitting there and hiding while this guy just got killed for her. For what, So she feels guilty in that way. That's where that brunette comes in. I forgot her name. It's Daemon and her had a relationship. I forgot her name. She's the one who gave the idea to Rhaenyra to weaponize the people. Not necessarily weaponize the people, but she said there's multiple ways to win a war. Create a populist movement, and that's exactly what Rhaenyra is doing. So they had a conversation essentially, and that woman was comforting Rhaenyra. They made out and everything. That caught me off guard. I didn't expect that. But the cool thing is, you're seeing the whole populist movement idea in the works. You're seeing how the people are turning over to Rhaenyra because she doesn't have an army. Daemon is kind of trying to build up an army, but you know, it seems like he's going to challenge the throne on his own. They have the Valyrian fleet. They have like a couple dragons, but you know, it's not enough. It's not enough to fight Daemon. It's not enough to take on Vhagar or anything. And they've got a huge army, so they're not in a good place right now. So swaying the masses might be the perfect move. So what she does is, she sends boats with the black flag, her crest, with food, filled with food, over the water to the people because they're hungry. They're extremely hungry. They're not having food. And we've already seen talks earlier in this episode of how, you know, in King's Landing, they're feasting and everything while we're starving and hungry. So they have some contempt for the elite over there already. And then now Rhaenyra is sending food, and the people are like, she hasn't forgotten us. Even now, she hasn't forgotten us. So she's winning the hearts of the people. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that. Are the people going to rise up? If the people rise up, action needs to be taken. And they can't kill the people, because if the people die, then who are they ruling over? There's power struggles happening in various arenas, which is really interesting. And that's something I'm curious to see how they develop. But that's pretty much it for this episode. It's a few things, a few pieces moved, but we're still setting up. We're still setting up something. And I hope that something will pay off well. I thought the episode was decent. It wasn't an amazing episode. It was decent. Not too much happened, but there were still some interesting things that happened. But let me know what you guys thought about the episode down below in the comment section, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.